Cool. Welcome everyone to the Deep Waters podcast. Here we are today filming episode 4, and we have a couple special guests here this evening. We have my dear sister Chanel, and we have my dear sister Jessica that will be on this episode, and we'll be talking about something that a lot of people want to know, like what really is in the heart. And so the topic of today is, what does humankind desire most? What does humankind desire most? And so obviously I'm gonna give them a chance to kind of introduce themselves. Welcome to the show, Chanel and Jessica. Glad to have you guys on. How you ladies doing today?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. We're doing great.
Okay. And so, the question that we're gonna kind of kick it off with is, in your eyes, what does humankind desire most? Like, what do you feel people out there desire most in their life?
I think love. I think a lot of people desire love, maybe in the wrong way, or maybe they chase it in different things. Like maybe they chase it in people, maybe they try to find love in their children, or they love their career. I feel like that's what people desire the most is love.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. And I also think that people desire just happiness. Everyone's looking to just be happy in their lives, like live their lives, have a family, all that good stuff, build up their life. And I think a lot of people think building up your life is just happiness, So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's an interesting question because, even today, before we filmed, I walked at the Starbucks and I asked this guy that was just randomly walking by, and I was like, hey, man, like, what do you desire most in your life right now? Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, freedom. He's like, I just want to be free to snowboard all the time. Mm-hmm. And obviously I related with him because I love snowboard. So for all you snowboarders out there, that's one of my favorite things to do. But here, what's going to be interesting is we're going to look at the perspective from God. Like, what does God actually say is at the core foundation of the heart for what people desire most? But before we kind of look at that passage, before you guys became Christians, what were the desires that you personally had before you became a Christian?
Before I became a Christian, I think I desired a lot of things at once. So to put that in one word, I would say self-gratification.
Okay.
That was my desire, whether it was to be excellent in school or be excellent after chasing a career or even a relationship. That all bundled together, it serves self versus serving, of course, God first. But I think for me, why it was such a strong desire is because I'm just naturally ambitious. I'm just naturally the go-getter type of person. So I would say that.
Okay. All right. So self-gratification, your personal interest. I think everyone could agree and attest to that. But what about you, Jess? What desires did you have that were the most pressing before you became a Christian?
Before I became a disciple, the desires that I had, I definitely wanted to make, it's very similar to Chanel, but also I wanted to make the most money. I wanted to make sure that I was good. I didn't have to worry about anything. I wanted the big house. I wanted the Lambo, all of that. That was like more in possessions, stuff that I desired. Also, I love dogs. Also, this is what I do for my profession. I wanted to have like a big property where I can have a bunch of dogs as well. That was like all my desires that I wanted before becoming a disciple.
Okay. And so, we see that, just like most people, everyone has their own selfish desire of what they want to achieve personally for themselves. But now becoming a Christian, do you feel like those desires have changed since becoming a Christian, and what has it changed to now? What do you feel?
Yes. To answer your question, yes. It has changed since becoming a Christian, because I think now as a Christian, my desire is what is pleasing to God first. Whereas in the world, I was like, what is pleasing to Chanel first?
Yeah.
And so I think now, before I even make a decision or even pursue anything, like, you could be excellent for God, you can have ambition for God, to I guess, be used by him. But now my knee-jerk reaction is, let me pray about this first. Let me consult with God first. Versus in the world, I'm like, man, I'm going to go for it. And if it fails, I'm going to pray and include God.
I'm going to consult with Chanel only. Hey, Chanel, would you try this? Yeah,
Right. So, yeah, it's definitely different as a Christian.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Like now, my mind is just like Chanel said, more so of like what pleases God, rather than what I would want, and so yeah, like a desire of mine as a Christian right now. That's what you asked too, right? Yeah. As a Christian now is to really be able to bring plant the seeds and bring more people to know God, more people to Christ, my family, my friends, that's the desire I have, like more, like I want to be able to save my family and friends. I want them to know the peace that I have since I became a true Christian. So yeah, it has definitely changed than my worldly self.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the worldly self was like Lambo, all that. Now it's like, no, I want to make sure that, I bring as many people as I can to know God so that they can get to heaven. Because that's the goal.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I was like, my desire definitely wasn't to preach the gospel. Like, if you talk to any of my friends, like nobody thought that I would be out here talking about the Bible, talking about God. Like that was definitely not a desire. Like I wanted to go to the NBA. I don't just say that just to say that, but like that was my passion. Is like I would spend 2-3 hours a day before I did my homework, all that stuff, just because I wanted to achieve this greatness in the NBA. Obviously, didn't even make it there, didn't even get nowhere close, but nonetheless, that was my desire, and I saw how much I put into it. And so today, we're going to look at it from the perspective of God. Like, what does God actually say is the desire that he created all humans to have? And so we're going to highlight a passage in Proverbs 19, verse 22. And so turn to it really quick and I'll read it for you. And so maybe you do know what the desire is that God created us with the most. Maybe you don't. Maybe this is the first time that you're hearing this passage. But in Proverbs 19, verse 22, it says, what a person desires is unfailing love. And so here we have it that God is saying that what a person desires most in their life is unfailing love. And when you boil it down to that, it's like, yeah, a lot of people actually truly search for that. But for you guys, when you hear this passage, like what stands out to you? Like what comes to mind when you hear that God says this is the desire of every person's heart at the height?
I think what comes to mind is just the fact that God's love is unfailing in that way. Because when you think about the love of man, like it's failing because we're flawed. But the fact that passage emphasizes that it's an unfailing type of love is something we can't even fathom sometimes, because it's like on a whole different scale than our minds can even, or even our hearts can even like consume.
Yes, it's interesting because when people read this passage, they're like, man, okay, do I really desire unfailing love? Is that really at the core of what I want? And this is, we obviously know, like you mentioned, you can't find that in man, in a relationship with another man. But rather you find it with God who, yes, he loves us despite our flaws, sees us despite like who we are, and he still loves us. And what's interesting, in other passages or other versions of this passage, it talks about that what a person's quality that's most desirable in a person is unfailing love or faithfulness or their kindness, when you look at other versions. And so, I got a chance to look up the Hebrew. You always got to go back to the Hebrew and you got to look up what the words mean, because there's so much depth to the Hebrew words, unlike, the English language, where it could just mean one specific thing. The Hebrew language, there's so much depth to it. And so for where it says unfailing love, the Hebrew word that it has is called hasdao. And what it is, it refers to God's loving kindness, steadfast love, or mercy. And this is why in other versions it says kindness. But it has a possessive form of the word he said. And I had to look up what possessive form meant because I was like, man,
Right.
what the heck does possessive form mean? You know, sometimes people they just try to overcomplicate the English language. Like, just say what it means. You know, don't
Right.
add these extra words. But essentially, what a possessive form of a noun is basically it indicates ownership or relationship to another word. And so the word hasdo is directly related with the word he said. And so what he said in Hebrew means it basically conveys a rich meaning of steadfast love, loyal kindness, and covenant faithfulness. So it refers to a deep action-oriented form of kindness, compassion, and mercy that is often based on a covenant relationship that goes beyond what is expected or deserved of that person. And so this concept can describe both human to human actions and the loving, faithful nature of God towards his people. And so what's powerful about that is it shows you, it's like, man, what people desire the most, this unfailing love, it actually is the qualities of God. And so God uses the same exact word in other passages in the Bible as well. In 2 Chronicles chapter 7, it says that King David appointed the Levites to praise the Lord, saying, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his love, his hasdao, endures forever. And so they use the same word as what a person desires most, is that can only be fulfilled with God. So it's interesting. It's like, you know, boiling it down, when you think about when people search for this unfailing love, what could be, to you guys, what could be the challenges that people can face as they're trying to search for unfailing love in humans and people in relationships? Like, what do you see are some of the challenges that could pose?
I think some of the many challenges I think is that love that they're trying to give is not reciprocated because it's an unequal yoke. I also think that another reason might be that the love is just not even received altogether.
Okay.
You know, like, you can love somebody, but that doesn't mean that they have to love you back. And I think that can be one of many reasons.
Yeah, and maybe a better question is, what ways have you searched? If you've searched for unfailing love in a partner, in a relationship you had in the past, in what ways did you try to create that?
What ways did I try to create that?
Because if a person's searching so much for this unfailing love, it's almost like, man, you would have to kind of fabricate a relationship in a certain way in order for this to happen, because you want these needs being met. And so, you know, I have one passage that kind of comes to mind in regards to what people do in order to find this unfailing love in a relationship. But I'm just curious as to, you know, what ways you may have experienced this or may even have done this in a relationship.
I would say maybe compromising of standards.
Okay. Yeah.
Sacrifice of time. You know, making your schedule to meet the needs of that person so that way you can please them and make them happy, versus you standing on business and doing what you need to do.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, like, pretty much people pleasing, like giving in to what, you know, like she said, compromising your standards. That's what I did a lot, as well as, like, I compromised a lot of my standards and was trying to more so please that person, even though it was, like, difficult for me. So I would say, yeah, that's definitely a thing that people do, is compromise their standards and give into that people pleasing.
Yeah, and that's actually what I wanted to highlight is when people are searching for this unfailing love, what they naturally go into is people pleasing mode. It's because it's like, man, this is what they desire most. They want to be in a relationship, or they want to be included in a group. And so it's like they change, in a sense, who they are. You know, they change themselves to meet the people that they're around, that they're surrounded by, whether it be a group or the relationship that they're trying to, you know, get. And so it's like they lose a part of their self. There's the facade that then gets created because they're trying to be loved. And so people pleasing, man, this is an epidemic, since the beginning of time. Is like people have always bent themselves just to feel a part of something, just to feel included. And so, it's cool because God, he gives us the actual practical and remedy of how we can actually experience unfailing love, one from him, but also in the view of other people, how we can feel loved and feel included amongst other people. We'll take a look at that passage, but any additional thoughts you guys have about, what we've talked about here?
No, I think going to the passage would be great. Yeah, I don't have any additional.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you even sharing that and pointing that out, because I think just looking at the flaws of man, like people will go to the moon and back to like contort their self and just their ways to meet the needs of somebody else, only to just be miserable because you're not your authentic true self.
That's true.
So yeah, I like that you pointed that out.
Yeah, that is true. That's true about that. And a lot of times people can find themselves being lost because they've tried to people please people so many times that now they're like, wait,
who am I?
Who am I?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very true.
And that's the danger of people pleasing, is because you then become a person that you're actually not.
Yeah.
And then you feel miserable inside because you're like, man, I'm doing all this, and then this person still may not love you despite what you've turned.
Right.
And this is the cool part about God, is like, with Jesus, he actually loves you despite who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like he looks at your flaws and he's like, I still love you. That's the unfailing love people are searching for. And although they do it in these other things, it is only found in God. It's only found through Jesus. And so definitely would encourage you. It's like maybe you're out there and you're feeling this type of way. You're like, I've been searching for love. Yes, that's exactly what I've been looking for. I want to encourage you is study the Bible and find out how you can find that through Jesus. And so there's a great African proverb. I like my proverbs. You got to like wisdom because there's always nuggets in many different places in the world. And so there's this African proverb, and it says, a child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down just to feel its warmth. And this is an African proverb that they had, is to show you the significance of if a person doesn't feel loved or included. It's like, man, this child is willing to burn down the whole village just to feel something from the people, whether if it's because they dislike him or not. It's like they feel something at least. That's how much people desire. And so I thought this proverb was powerful because it shows you, it's like, man, even at the core of a child, like, they desire that. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts on that proverb,
I think my uncle wrote that proverb.
Oh, from what tribe? What tribe we talking about?
No.
Bring us in. You might need to collect some money now. Some royalties from that proverb.
Your uncle wrote the proverb.
No.
Show me the way.
No, all jokes aside, that's a powerful proverb. Like, and it's true. Like, people will search for love regardless what the consequences are.
Yeah.
Like,
do whatever.
Right, they'll do whatever.
Yeah, that's a powerful and scary proverb. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows you even in relationships, people went through physical abuse, mental abuse, all that for the sake of love because they want to feel that love.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, people stay in relationships like that just because they want to have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's scary and dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we read an African proverb, but we got to go to the man who has the most wisdom. We got to go to the man upstairs. And let's see what God has to say to give you a great practical of how you cannot fall into people pleasing, but also how you can experience this unfailing love. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 3. So we can look at some more wisdom. Proverbs chapter 3. And this is a passage, I would always talk to people about who would struggle with people pleasing. And I get that whole concept of wanting to be liked. But But there's something beautiful about when you actually come into your relationship with God and then you find security in who God says you are. So therefore you can actually show up in any space and feel comfortable in your own skin, not having to adjust to what other people say or think, or the society you're in, or even the workplace you may be at. And so this passage here, I think, kind of highlights how you get away from people pleasing, or if you struggle with it. Proverbs 3 verses 3 to 5, or 3 to 4. It says, "Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man." And, I love this passage here, and the passage is actually titled "Wisdom Bestows Well-Being." And it talks about that there's two things a person can do in their life if they want to receive love by God and love by man. He says, let love and faithfulness never leave your corner. So obviously your love to God and your faithfulness to him. He says, if those two things are intact, it says you will win a good name in the sight of God, who's most important. But it says, by extension, man as well. So he's like, God's like, hey man, if you please me, if you do what's right in my eyes first, you will win a good name in the sight of man. So by extension. So it's because you're doing the will of God that you get a good name in the sight of man. So you don't have to people please. God opens up the doors. He accesses people's hearts around you because you please him. But yeah, what do you guys think about this passage? Yeah, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I like that it emphasizes love and faith, because they definitely go hand in hand together. And as long as you love and have faith in what God is doing in your life, then at the end of the day, that's all that matters, because we're gonna have to answer to him at the end of the day. And so it's like, why not do your best and put all your effort, if not more than you do for man, to God, because he's gonna honor it. Like you said, he's gonna open the hearts of man around you, to see what he sees, and hear what he hears. So I really like that passage. Yeah.
And, if it says you bind them around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart. So he's like, God's like, man, this has to be your jewelry. Got to be your chain, you got to bind it on your heart. But it's cool. It's like, yeah, you can remember the people in your life that are super loving. You're like, man, that person is loving despite what is done to them. And I love the quote where it says, love is never wasted because it's not based on reciprocity. So it's like, hey, because you're giving love, even if it's not being reciprocated in your life, it's never wasted, because that person, even though they don't reciprocate it, will still remember that you gave your all. And then the faithfulness to God, it's like, it always pays off, and so like Chanel said, when these two things are in tandem, man, it's a beautiful thing. But what you desire most of being liked by others, it will naturally happen over time. And so that is the practical. So if you struggle with people pleasing, Proverbs 3 verses 3 to 4.
Well, what was an example of you, showing unfailing love in the world?
I never did in the world. For me, I never loved anyone in the world. Like, even though I was in a relationship for 5 years, I actually never loved her. Even though I said it, it was more of one of those things. Like, I remember saying it because I remember all my friends were talking about it. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what this love thing is. Maybe if I say it, I'll feel it. And I remember telling her I loved her. And, obviously I didn't. But now that I understand what love is from the Bible, right. It's like, I know, one, for a fact, I didn't love her. But also, I just love the things that she could do for me. But now it's like, having known God, once again, it's like, yeah, you understand what true love is.
Right.
And it's through flaws and all, like, I look at my sin, I look at pre, post, current state of me, and despite all that, like, God still loves me. And so for me, I'm like, that's unmatchable. So as far as in the world, I've never showed unfailing love. I only showed pockets of what love was, but never its fullness.
Same.
Same.
Never. I never learned what love is until I read the Bible and actually studied it out. Like, you know, a lot of people at weddings and stuff, they always quote the 1 Corinthians 13. They always say that passage, but I don't think people actually, like, let me not say I don't think people actually know, but a lot of people think love is just a feeling.
Yeah.
But it's straight up action. Like,
all choice.
Yeah, straight up action, all choice. And like 1 Corinthians literally like explains what love is. And I've never done a lot of those things as it explains. It was more of like, just like you said, loving people because of what they could do for me, you know, but I never actually like loved anyone until I became literally I studied the Bible and like learned more about God and his word and became a true Christian.
Yeah. So, yeah, same. I can definitely relate. Like in the world, even studying the Bible until that scripture was revealed to me, I had a warped view of love.
Yeah.
You know, I loved others as Chanel wanted to, which was sometimes at a distance, depending on who you were. You get one spoon away, or you know, sometimes my love was like, bye, you out of my life. Like that's my form of love for them. But to learn that love is not only encompassed of 1 Corinthians 13, but it's also a commandment by Jesus.
Yep.
You know, when he says to love others as I have loved you. I think that one really hit me because I'm like, oh, dang. Now I got to figure out how has Jesus loved me, you know? So that way I can know how to love the people that he's calling me to love. Yeah. And that was a hard lesson to learn, you know, especially when you're raised to not tell people your business or, you know, or not come off as weak. You got to be strong. Can't show emotion, you know, because people are going to use that against you. So even being, you know, raised in that, you know, it's kind of stifling because you're not learning to allow yourself to emotionally process glimpse of love. Yeah. And so after studying out what love means from the Bible and actually knowing that it was a commandment of Jesus, I'm like, wow. Like, that's a high calling.
Very high calling.
That's a very hard calling. That's a sacrificial calling.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes I read about love, where it said, "Love your enemies, for they will tell you all your faults." Yeah. And I thought I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, dang, it's true, because it's like, man, if you love the most challenging people that hate your guts, it's like they're gonna tell you what's wrong with you, and to some degree, some of that's true. You know, but they're not gonna hold any punches.
Right.
You know, and that's one thing that I believe that Jesus understood is like, you know, when you love your enemies, man, you're gonna learn much more about yourself.
That's true.
The whole scope. You know, I can imagine, you know, the 11 disciples chilling with Judas. They was like, man, what's up with Judas? Like, you know, this man tripping. Right. And this is probably why Peter was like, man, how many times I got to forgive my brother? 77 times 7, you know? It probably was Judas making people struggle, you know? Who knows, you know?
It for sure was Judas.
But it's like through those relationships, you learn forgiveness, mercy, grace, all that stuff.
Grace,
you know?
That's true.
And I think, unfailing love requires you to see the darkest parts of a person. Yep. Like, if you see the greatest parts of a person, it's easy to love someone. Like, oh, man, you awesome. Yeah. But when you see the ugly parts, you be like, hold on now, you know?
You still have to love them through it.
Yeah. To piggyback back off of that, I think unfailing love also allows you to see the deepest part of you. Yeah. Because you get to see how short or long your love is for somebody, especially if they're your enemy. That's a true test.
Yeah.
That's a true test.
And it makes you think about the scripture that talks about in 1 Peter, love covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Yes.
Like, love is a hard thing.
Yeah, because I remember growing up with Jessica, I was like, man, you know.
We about to go there.
Love is patient right there, you know what I'm saying?
We about to go there, okay. We can let some tea out, okay? I got some stories, y'all.
But nah, unfailing love is...
Yeah.
But it's cool because it's like, when you experience what unfailing love is through your relationship with God first, and then you go into a relationship to give love, is like, man, you're gonna unlock so much more in that relationship because of who you understand, what you experienced with Jesus first. So it makes sense. It's like life gets better, you know, if you put God first in all ways, in all facets. So
always, and you'll get, a lot of times you'll get those desires that other people look at, the happiness. Right? But if you want to know how to do that, you got to study the Bible too.
You know, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it was actually interesting. I looked up a therapist who basically was taking a survey and documenting her last 10 years of doing therapy. And she wanted to highlight, you know, what people desired most from like all the clients that she had, and saw, you know, the different age ranges, like what was like the central theme of what people desired. And it was interesting because the top things that she saw, the first thing was to be loved. She's like, from all the clients that she talked with and did therapy with, like the number one thing that they said they wanted was to be loved, which correlates exactly with the Bible says, unfailing love. And, you know, this is great insight because this is a therapist who sees the deeper parts of people's lives than most people, you know, so she has, in a sense, a very magnified lens on this. The second thing was to be understood. The third thing, to have power. Fourth thing, to have and give attention. The fifth thing, to have freedom, to create, and to belong. And so, you know, it's interesting that, you know, at the top of that list, once again, it is to be loved. But these other components of being understood, you know, to give attention to have freedom, all that stuff, like a lot of that comes when you feel like you're loved, you know, you feel like you're being understood. You feel like there is freedom, you know, to mess up and show people your dark sides. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that what the great minds of the world are finding out in their surveys or in their experiences is already written in the scriptures, you know, so.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know, y'all know what y'all gotta do.
Well, you know, if you're interested in finding out more about this unfailing love, that not what I'm promising, but what God is promising for you, I definitely want to encourage you to reach out, you know, leave a comment or subscribe on the YouTube channel, and DM for a Bible study, and I can get you connected with a fellowship or personal Bible studies via Zoom or in person, to help you experience this unfailing love. And so with that, thank you for all tuning in for today's episode of What Does Humankind Desire Most? And we'll be back for another episode in the future. And if you like, also, if you like to donate, you know, feel free. You know, I'll drop the link here for Venmo, just to donate to continue in the missionary work that we do. Or if this encouraged you in some shape, form, or fashion, take all donations. Obviously, we do this out of the free time that we have. But yeah, if you'll be willing to donate, I'll drop the Venmo link below. All right, well, take it easy, and until next time.